Today I'm joined by Dalene Allen of Naturally Networking. Dalene, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I am absolutely fantastic. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Let's get started, shall we? Can you share a little bit about your background and how you got started as a coach and a networking professional?
Um, that's a really good question. I am the oldest of seven daughters. So the mantra that I grew up with, set an example. You have six younger sisters. So my mother taught me early on that I had a voice and I had to use it, preferably for some good. And so she was always my cheerleader. And having come from a large family, I have two older brothers that we each had a role to play, and the older ones help support the younger ones, which automatically, I think, gives you some leadership skills, right? Your younger siblings, you can tell them where to go, and they'll still talk to you tomorrow. I can't do that in life. So you learn some pretty important lessons early on. I had a burning desire to work and have an income. That from a very early age, our parents taught us a positive message about money. We didn't have trust funds. My father was never going to pay for seven weddings. And we all needed to get a good education. And we could do anything we wanted to do as long as we were willing to work.
I love that. So what is it that attracted you to the coaching space?
I think nurturing, although I never had children, I loved my younger siblings. And I mean, I likely changed as many diapers as my mother did. And just being around people. I grew up in a tourist area. If you've never been to Peggy's Cove, we lived on the road to Peggy's Cove, and my parents ran a handcraft shop. My dad was an officer in the Navy. My mom a stay-at-home mom. And she really was very smart in that, our house was set back off the road so she could have her quiet time in the shop. She would meet people from all over the world. And we were encouraged as children, okay, you want to make some money, create something. My mother did buy local before it was popular because she only sold handmade in Nova Scotia crafts. So even though we had an entrepreneurial spirit from an early age, it was also get a good education and go work for a company that's going to pay you a pension. So I did that for a few years and realized I was better off on my own. So the entrepreneurial journey kind of came, I think we resisted, but sooner or later it's going to come out. I'm not sure your story, Karen, but I can't wait to hear it. And so because of a move, the kind of job that I had, we were living in Montreal at the time. I worked as a buyer for a large textile company. I got traveled to Europe twice a year to do buying trips, and worked with a lot of Canadian designers. I mean, it was likely, my dream job. But I also worked for the biggest crooks in the industry. So I learned very early on what I didn't want to do or the kind of people I wanted to work with. And so my father-in-law worked for National Cash Register. My husband is a mechanical engineer and likely would not have a business. So when I met my father-in-law, he said, Dalene, if you don't have a dream, you're going to work for somebody else and start a business. And so it was with his encouragement that we decided we would start some kind of a business. We looked into a number of franchises. The only thing about a franchise is you kind of own the business, but they could still kind of tell you how to run it. So kind of think, okay. And so I decided to work with a direct sales company with Mary Kay Cosmetics. It had only been in Canada for about 3.5 years at that time. And my background, I studied retail merchandising, and I thought, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? If I give this a try and it doesn't work, I can find a job. Job's not a problem, right? And so unlike many people in the direct sales industry, they usually come in kind of the back door. First, they like the product, they want to get it cheaper, they enjoy the tax benefits of a home-based business, but very few really come in. I wanted to replace my income as quickly as possible. And so in that first year, luckily for me, they provide phenomenal training, and it's truly one of the last places you can be mentored to success. So within my first year, I went from not having a driver's license to having earned a pretty pink Cadillac, right? The Barbie car, and was making six figures. And you kind of didn't look back after that.
What an amazing journey. And who wouldn't want a pink Cadillac?
I mean, you can find him in a parking spot, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, but but don't go through any red lights or don't do anything bad, because it's like being a kid with red hair. They'll remember the pink car. Yeah.
For sure. So I love hearing how all those pieces come together. What does life look like for you in this season of your business?
Well, to share what's in this brain, I've got the first draft of a book. I recorded how I built my first business. My best year in sales was just over 6 million. I averaged about 5 million with my Mary Kay Cosmetics business. And I woke up one day and said, I'm done. And training or coaching, because really when you have a team of people in the direct sales industry, you're really coaching volunteers because you're not a boss, right? That you're an encourager, motivate, educate, possibly irritate them to success, but you can't tell them what to do. And so I loved what I did, but I woke up one day in the middle of a morphine-induced passing a kidney stone. And, no wonder they tell you don't sign papers when you're in that. I said to my husband, because they buy my business back from me, Karen, I should just resign. I didn't say retire. I should resign. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. My husband would never say that, right? I mean, Mary Kay provided us a pretty friggin' phenomenal lifestyle. I was making really great money. But they would pay me. They would buy the business back from me. So they're still paying me. And I knew I wasn't done with life, but I don't know if you've ever had that knock, knock, knock till it kind of goes like this. I said, okay. So I kind of fooled around with a couple of things and then realized it was the teaching aspect that I enjoyed, or the coaching aspect that I enjoyed about the business, to really take somebody. And I tell you, the wonderful part, I was mentored by Mary Kay Ash herself, the founder of the company. Her best friend, I've only ever seen the same spelling of my name maybe half a dozen times. And this was like 30 plus years ago. And Mary Kay's very best friend's name was spelled exactly the same way as mine. But of course, in Texas, they call her Dalene. So Mary Kay, because of that, and Canada was a much smaller market. And when you do really, really well, they don't bring in outside speakers. You had to perform. If you performed well, you would be invited to be a speaker. And because I'd done really, really well, when she came to Canada, she's always say, oh, there's my Dalene, my Canadian Dalene. And it was just so nice to have that wonderful relation with the most incredible business mind. Just being able to be up close to her and see how she really did. Oh, she was a master at communications and at really caring about people, right? People don't care how much you know till they know if you even care. And so anything I could glean from her, that was it. Now, here's the funny part about that business. I knew nothing about skincare, color cosmetics, and didn't drive a car, and but really enjoyed people, relationships. And so I was so sad and pathetic in the beginning. But I was honest, right? Said, I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what, as I learn things, then I'll teach them to you too. And I had a fear of talking to strangers, something my mother and most parents, tell children when they're little, don't talk to strangers. So the thought of handing out a business card, Karen, could physically make me sick. When you have a home-based business, that's not exactly an easy way to grow a business, is it? And so I found every way in the world to get referrals. And so that $6 million in business came through relationships and through referrals. Not everybody is a natural connector. But let me tell you, when you find the natural connectors, treat them like gold. I don't know, to our listeners here, I have been a very happy TELUS client for a long, long time. And every week they send me these texts, these emails, everything, offering me these great deals. And when you call up and ask, they'll go, oh, it's only for a new client. You know, acquisition is one thing, retention. Okay. And let me tell you, the only way I created a residual source of income was because of good customer service. But if you don't let people know that a referral matters, you won't get them. But when you find, because each year I would do a survey at the end of the year in my personal business and then my overall area business. And I still sold product because a lipstick can make a woman feel so much better about herself. You know, little things. When you feel good on the outside, that giant comes from the inside. It's going to come out. You're going to have more self-confidence and self-esteem. It's magic to see what can happen with little things and how we view ourselves. And so every year, about 30 to 35% of my new business was because of about 12 to 15 clients who referred people to me. I'm the queen of little things when it comes to anybody wanting to grow a network or a business. When you have a happy customer, treat them like gold, because it is those happy customers that will do testimonials. They'll talk about you. They'll pass your name on. And that appreciation goes a long, long way. Today, they would refer to it as social capital. I like Warren Buffett because Warren Buffett says everybody wants to make a quick buck. He said very few are ever going to follow my system of investing in the relationships. And look what the man's done. And so, again, to be of value, to be able to see that person and see how you might be able to help them.
That, yeah, so powerful, and so many nuggets of wisdom in there. What question do you think leaders should be asking themselves more often but rarely do?
Do you really see your people? Do you see the good points? Praise the action, not the person. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, you're great, but kind of hollow. But why are they great? To really praise that person and give them recognition. I have a friend who's a mortgage broker with a big bank, and I've never seen anybody work like she does. And let me tell you, her customer service is, you'd think she owned the bank. And she had achieved an award in Atlantic Canada that they had never seen before. And the gentleman came from their head office in Toronto to recognize her. And in his speech, her last name, I think, was Armsworthy or something. He read this, you know, somebody gave him a script. 3 last names, all starting with A. Not one of them was a real last name. And you want to say, that person really didn't care a whole lot, did they? It is little things that really ignite something in another individual, right? Every morning when I get up, I like to reach out to, depending upon time, 2, 3, 4, or 5 people and just tell them why they're great. And if you're having a bad day, I recommend you try that, because let me tell you, it'll make your day.
I like that. The intent, I mean, obviously it starts with caring about people, paying attention to those little things and acting on it, and sharing those moments of appreciation or those insights of appreciation with people. If you could give your clients one piece of advice, what would that be?
People do not buy when you want them to, they buy when they're ready. And that's where investing in a relationship makes all the difference in the world. When people, Amy Cuddy does a great TED Talk. I'm not sure, I love TED Talks. And Amy Cuddy says, until somebody trusts you, they don't hear a word you say. Now, I don't know if that kind of hits you, Karen, but I remember that was like a slap up the side of my head. It was like, whoa. Number 1, I need to listen more. Number 2, I need to ask some better questions. and listening like a sponge, not a brick. Many people listen, but only waiting for that opportunity to get their pitch in. And so, again, appreciation, a handwritten note, but really being curious, and really everybody's got a story. And if you can hear that story, the relationship starts much quicker. That when somebody feels seen and heard, one of the nicest things you can say, oh, tell me more, tell me more.
True, so true. Let's switch gears a little bit here. No journeys without its problems. Was there a time when something didn't go according to plan, and what was your learning about that?
Oh, likely every single month and likely every single year. A couple of things that people have said to me over the years is expect nothing, anything's a gift. And if you think about that for a moment, because I remember the first time somebody said that to me and I continued complaining, she said, expect nothing. By the third time, it's like, okay, I get it. And it's like when we're relying on that one person to perhaps close a deal or to make the difference in what you're doing, putting all your eggs in one basket's not going to, right? And this is why I teach what I teach today, is the minute somebody gets busy, the first thing they drop is networking. I call that death on installment. That it is that new connection that always resells us on our business. And so, I can have a bad day. Could happen 2 or 3 days in a row. And so luckily, financially, if I don't do something today, but in the beginning, oh my God, my business had started to really take off that first year. But then when it takes off, then the impostor syndrome. Oh, can I keep this up? And the minute you start doing that is the minute you start, pushing things away. So really keeping a positive mindset is like a daily shower. You got to do it. You got to do it often. And also investing in yourself, reading books, listening to positive messages. That can make such a huge difference.
And so when you're working with your clients, is this what do you share with them? How do you work with them in terms of becoming a better leader, in terms of networking? How does that show up?
Number one, I think I'm going to change the name of my company. Networking is a dirty word. Networking conjures up so many things that people don't feel comfortable about. And so what I teach is from the minute you shake a hand, you trade business cards, that is the start of the sales funnel. That is the start of the relationship. And if you don't have a plan or a system, it's not going to work. And so it's better to make one new connection a day instead of going to 4 or 5 networking events where you meet a hodgepodge of people. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that can be business. Business can happen, whatever. But to me, we have so many opportunities to sit on our bum at home and make those initial connections. And I'll give you an example. I still to this day make one new connection a day on LinkedIn. And I look for personalities on profiles. Some people, they list all of their expertise, but you think, is there a human being attached here? And then if I've got 2 or 3 networking events, once I reach out to them, start a little conversation, say, hey, if you think it'd be great for us to connect in person, here's 3 events that I'm going to next week. Why don't we meet there? I said, I think many of us, it's like, can I just pick your brain for a half hour? And you want to go, no, really? You can pay me to do that. So again, if I'm coaching somebody, then they're going to, I say, okay, here's where I'm going to be. Come and you can watch me in action, and I can introduce you to lots of great new connections. So we teach people a system, because if you've ever read Atomic Habits, you can set a New Year's resolution, you can set a goal, you can have a dream, but if you don't implement a system, how's it going to work? Right? That and little things like, is your photo up to date? Are your LinkedIn profiles up to date? Are your color schemes on your emails, on your LinkedIn, on all your social medias? Is there synergy there? You know, any of your profiles, when was the last time you updated them, right? That people will say, oh, look, I have this new achievement. Well, why don't you update your profile with that? It's still going to go out, but then, hey, they're going to get to your profile a whole lot faster. So most people do not have a system. They think they have a system, but they really, in most cases, don't, especially when it comes to, again, I don't like a sales funnel like this. It's like this. And so little things that I've done over the years, I usually have a whole lot of whiteboards. And it's sort of like what they do at a homicide, except this is all positive and for success. Like everything that's on my mind, I usually go to that one blank whiteboard that I do every day. And I write down absolutely everything that's on my mind. So when I go to bed, you know, I can think. But it's like it goes from left to right. So everybody I've met, that's the contact, and how far am I moving them along? I'm a really visual person. I'm dyslexic, you know, so writing notes and things like that can be a little challenging. But what I love is when somebody comes into my house, especially if it's someone I'm working with, oh, Dalene, oh, I see that connection there. And I'm thinking, I didn't see that connection. That's it. Right. Or my husband will walk by and say, oh, you're not very busy this week, huh? That when the family gets involved, right? I mean, if you want your kids to do something to, you know, if you're self-employed or professional that's working on incentives, you give your kids some incentive and it's like, Daddy, are we going on that trip? Mommy, are we going to get our prize? Right? When you get the family involved, they have a much better idea of what you're actually doing. That was like my parents. We got an allowance every week. It was the thrill of getting older because my dad had a figure of how many are aged by how many numbers and that kind of stuff. And if you wanted to make more money, there was a list inside a cupboard door in the kitchen. Guess what? You know, there were 11 people in that house. Luckily, we had 2 bathrooms. We were really fortunate. If you want to make extra money, clean a bathroom.
So it's being intentional, it's having systems, and it's taking little steps that help you grow your business, systems that you still use today. What's a big success or win you've had recently?
Thanks to a referral, I printed up my own thank you cards, my own sympathy cards, my own birthday cards. And I truly love a handwritten note. So what I've done is on the front, it's usually a nice saying, a nice scripture, or a nice saying also in the card. But let's say it would be a big thank you. Okay, that inside, and a little, you know, room for me to write. But on the back of that card is my photo, my QR code, and my contact information. Because guess what? If somebody gets a thank you card, what do they do on their desk? They see the front. But on the back of that card, they see my contact information. And so this particular gentleman, and it's interesting because I'm married to an engineer, so I can do engineer talk. Okay. And this particular gentleman I'd met at a networking event, and he'd sent me the nicest message. And I wanted to send him a thank you card. And so what I did, and that was likely a year and a half ago, the card's still on his desk. And I got an opportunity to teach a 6-week program to a group of engineers because of the back of that business card.
I think that's brilliant. I'm going to have to steal that from you.
Well, but here's the best part. I need to talk to more engineers because talking to them is like talking to my husband. So I felt I got paid free for talking to a dozen of these fellows every single week for a couple of months. And we just had the best time. It's like, Dalene, you get us. You want to go, you damn right I do.
So, Dalene, you've come a long way. What's lighting you up these days?
We in Atlantic Canada have a big influx of immigrants. We have a lot of people. Maritimers are known for you get a good education, then you go away to the promised land, Toronto or West, and then eventually you want to come home. And so when they haven't been here in a long, long while, they're like a fish out of water. They kind of know the place, but they really don't know the place. And your warm connections, boy, you talk about a cliquey place. This is a cliquey place, Atlantic Canada. We're friendly, but a hidden job market and opportunities like that, you have to have warm connections. And so I really feel for either recent graduates who are from someplace else or international students, or people here, ISAN's Immigrant Settlement Association of Nova Scotia, they help to bring people in. And what we're realizing is that many, many newcomers want to open a business. And what I absolutely love about that is the fact they see opportunities that local people don't see. And so I love working with them. If we don't make them feel welcome, we always used to say MTV, Montreal, Toronto, or Vancouver are where they're all going to go. So my mission at this point is to make sure we make them feel welcome enough and they see the opportunity that is here today.
What a beautiful vision, and kudos for you for doing that. And I guess that's also you seeing the opportunity to help others, and just an extension of what you've done in your entrepreneurial journey.
And again, what I love about younger people, because of sort of what's happening in the world today, is they're realizing there aren't pensions. They're realizing that they likely need more than one source of income. And to see people start side hustles, I love that as well. You know, that can provide the dream while you're not getting frustrated at the Monday 9 to 5, and that you're working more options. I think that it's nice to see more people realizing that there's a lot more that you can do.
Especially in today's day and age, and with everything that's going on, for sure. Dalene, thank you so much for sharing your story. Where can our listeners find you online?
I'm Dalene Allen on LinkedIn. That's likely also on Facebook, Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast that's called Network Equals Net Worth. And it's not about the money. It's about the richness in our relationships. My networkingnaturally.ca showcases all of my services. I do some online as well as in-person networking events. So yes, reach out. I would love to connect. Everybody's got a story, and I would love to hear yours.
We'll definitely have those links in the show notes. And thank you again so much for joining me today on the Leadership Podcast.
My pleasure.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.